talk a little bit about something we talked about before we started to record, and that's what you're doing for students in Bridgeport. We talked at the beginning of this conversation about the giving back. You talked about the Catholic faith in which your parents raised you and whatnot, and the idea that we all have a responsibility to one another. Talk a little bit about what you're doing in Bridgeport with schools there, and how you're really, for lack of a better word, inspiring young people through dance to take responsibility for their lives and see that they have an opportunity to move forward. Just talk to a little bit about what you're doing in that arena.
To kind of peel back a little bit more before we get into that, I think obviously the world could be a better place if everyone contributed.
Right.
You know,
No
and
question.
it starts with the individual first.
Right.
There was a point in time in our career where we were growing so fast, right? But people were saying you need to still study your craft and all those kind of things. We used to watch like documentaries, anywhere from like the Steve Jobs to like documentaries on Bob Marley or Mother Teresa, like people who were very influential, right? And one thing that we took away from all these people was that they were willing to die for the message. You know what I'm saying? Like, that to me, and Brian at the time was like, that is so powerful. People were walking outside of their houses. I'm thinking, go back to like, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King, or, you know, he walked out of the house saying goodbye to his daughter and his wife, knowing that he might not come home tonight, you know? And the thought of someone willing to do that, that just goes to show how assertive and confident they are in a message that they're trying to push out there. So if we all were able to do something like that, I want to make people happy. I want to inspire people. That is when Brian and I were like, we need to be that individual. We need to be that light. We just don't want people to come here and be like, oh, we took a good class. No, we want people to walk out here and be like, I'm inspired. Not just by your story, but you inspire me to move or think differently. You know, when we have different walks of life in here, Black, white, Spanish, all different creeds and nationalities, it makes a big difference. People don't even notice it. And this is Fairfield County. They walk in here, they're like, wow, this is different. It's different. The music is different. The vibe is different. You know, so we were like, how do we do this? And we have to go back into the community. Someone came to us and was like, you should do this. Someone came to us and said, you should open up something. We were like, we need to be more hands-on. And we've all, with our personality, even though we don't mind sitting at a desk, punching in some stuff, but we need to be hands-on. You know, and we were working in the community a lot of times in Bridgeport. Like, what are the schools, some of the schools we went to, we were doing
Park Avenue. Not only just Bridgeport, we also did Tri-State, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, and also going back to where we started in, you know, where I came from with the school, Kip Academy, Port School, High School. So we try to always go back to where we always come from. And just to apply to what Paul says, that coming from the Bronx, we know, you know, I'm not gonna say that I struggled that much, but I know people have it worse than us, you know. I get it, you know, people are growing up there with no parents, no mom and dad, living on the street, I understand, but we are very grateful, but we need to understand that, you know, you gotta put yourself in their shoes. You know, always trying to talk to these people, no matter what size they are, what color they are, whatever it is, always try to relate. You know, my dream one day is to just open up a barbershop for homeless people. Just to come and get a free cut, you know, it's okay, you know, just to do something for the community. And we're talking about gift of dance, and this is what we do for these kids to help them to understand about dance and stuff like that. Even though you don't want to dance, but there's something you're doing with your life. It's gonna take you to the next level from point A to point B. To do a college essay, to apply for financial aid, to go to college, to go to a community college, to get your GED, whatever it is. Hey, work for Double Up internship and stuff like that.
Do something. That's how we develop. In our company, we develop Do-Go Entertainment, Double Up Company Entertainment. And in our company, we have 4 branches: dance, fitness, education, and management. The education component is where we're at right now, talking about, we developed a campaign which is called Move to Succeed. We started going into schools, elementary schools, meeting with young adults, young entrepreneurs. We realized that our story was that impacting, and we wanted to make sure that people understood not how to be dancers, like Brian said, but to create their own movement. You need to move if you want to succeed. No one is ever going to hand stuff to you. And if they do, kudos to you. But at some point in time, you're going to have to move. You know? And we go into schools and we tell the kids, like, look, we don't want you to walk out of here and be like, I want to be a professional dancer. if you're going to be a basketball player, learn how to manage a basketball team. You want to be a football player? Learn how to be the president of the football team. Don't just learn one thing. Learn the whole thing.
Double down.
That's right. Double. You got to really get into that mindset, because LeBron James is amazing, but there's someone making more money than LeBron, right? Who's paying LeBron? But I'm not saying don't be LeBron.
No, I understand exactly.
But just know that is an option.
Exactly.
It's a bigger picture, and I feel like growing up in the Bronx, it's hard sometimes to think the bigger picture when you're struggling.
Yep.
You can't think, I am going to be the president of the United States.
Right.
You can't think that, because it's not even tangible. You can't even reach it, right?
Yep.
But as you start to meet people who have achieved some type of greatness in their career, you then start to say, well, maybe I'm not gonna be the NFL player today, but I'm gonna probably be the captain of my high school team.
Yes.
That's it. That's your movement.
That's the movement to succeed. No,
that's
exactly.
it. Now I follow your movement. You created a movement where you're the captain. You're leading a whole bunch of kids and students that are your peer to push to win the championship. You win the championship. Your school's movement has created.
Right.
You create this domino effect, in which is very important. So we created Move to Succeed, in which we created Gift of Dance.
So let me ask you, I'm going to cut, obviously, I'm running for governor as an independent. Take a minute and say that we take office next January. What, from your perspective, either from a business perspective, a youth perspective, a giving back to the community perspective, what would be 2 or 3 things that you want us to focus on? We'll talk to a lot of businesses and say there's too many regulations in the state, we're too taxed. I mean, there are a lot of serious issues there, right? We all know that, right? We also know that we've got serious issues in our urban areas, everything from disparities in how kids are performing in urban schools versus how kids in suburban schools are performing. We know we've got, as you guys said earlier, severe poverty issues in virtually every, in fact, there's almost no community in this state that does not have serious poverty issues. We've got serious issues around addiction, opioid and the like, and what that's doing to the kids. So the quality of life is fraying. We've had no net job growth in the state of Connecticut in 30 years, so we haven't had the kind of revenue stream you've seen elsewhere. But from your perspective, knowing how really truly entrepreneurial you both are, what you're focused on, just top of mind, what would be the 2 or 3 things you'd say, hey, when you go into office on January, you ought to be thinking about these 2 or 3 things as a priority? Anything come to mind that you'd want me to zero in on?
I mean, I started off, I think one of the things that personally that I would want, someone within the office is to acknowledge that there are people out there really making a difference.
Yep.
I feel like if people were acknowledged for the work that they're doing in the community, that just means that you're watching from a distance. I'm a firm believer in that. Just walking up to somebody in the hallway and saying, hey, look, I saw you on the field last week. You did a wonderful job. I think things like that would make someone really push a little bit more. When you're just like, keep doing what you're doing, and you just keep running this way because you're in office versus being hands-on like how you are right now. Knock on someone's door. Hey, look, I heard that you did this 2 weeks ago. Thank you. You made a difference in that family's life. You know what? I'm not giving you a check for $1 million, but you know what? Here's a gift certificate to your favorite restaurant. Something small. My father, mentions it to us all the time. It's the little things that count. The little things that count. Just acknowledging someone and their growth. Not saying it has to be us. We don't have to be like, oh, double up. No, it just has to be. Let me be hands-on with the community leaders. Because not only are we affecting adults, we're affecting kids. Why would you not want to be connected to that person or that individual or that company? You know what I'm saying? What are you thinking?
I totally agree with you. I 100% agree with what Paul just said. Like being involved and just being hands-on and connecting and relating, and at the same time, because it's very important. It feels good. Like sometimes when I teach, or support teach, I always look at my students and really go to individuals and say, you're doing a very good job. I know I didn't meet you last week. I know you signed in, blah, blah, blah. Happy birthday, by the way. You're doing a great job. Keep going. I think you should try the next level class, which is intermediate. And be like, no, I don't think so. No, trust me. It's on me. Don't worry about the course. I'll take care of it.
The thing that comes across in just talking with you for these few minutes is how important relationships are and focusing on individuals. And I've always believed, both in the years I worked in a bank and the years I worked in an economic development organization, that if you're willing to sit down with people, listen to what their issues are, to your point, Paul, about acknowledging what they're doing, telling people that they're loved. I mean, one of the things that sometimes we take employers for granted. Yeah. You got 27 people here. You could take this business, I don't know what your lease arrangement is, but you could take it and move it to Rhode Island, you could move it to New York, you could move it to a lot of places. You got to make sure that people here, as a governor, that we appreciate what you're doing and how valuable you are, not just to the 27 people you employ, but to this broader audience of students that's critical, because this is the future. You guys, your age, who you are, what you represent in terms of energy, and how you're impacting other lives is what makes the world go round. So I will tell you, not only do I appreciate you both taking the time now, I will be back here the day or two after the inauguration in January.
I like that.
Maybe we'll even have the inaugural party down here, just so we take it.
Rock.
I just want to thank you both for taking the time. It's been a real pleasure to meet both of you. Thank you for the time. I look forward to seeing you guys. If I don't see you before the election, I look forward to seeing you after the inauguration, and really thank you for what you're doing, most of all, and thank you for giving us some time here this afternoon.
No, thank you for just coming out and just being a part of this whole movement, and obviously good luck to you and the movement.
We're moving to success, baby. Moving to victory.
You already know. You gotta move.
That's where we're headed.
Congratulations again. Yes.
Thank you guys very much.